The reason why you should have breaks is number one, because it is commanded. Number two, because it will increase your productivity. But let me mention a few more things about it's commanded. If God is your creator, shouldn't you know that he knows better than you? So you don't take rest because you think you need it. You take it rest because God commands it. So you take time every day to sleep. Why? Because God commands it. He says he has put darkness so that we work during the day. So you need to understand that it's a commandment. 6 days you to work, the seventh one is set aside by God as a day of rest. So you need to understand that when you do not take time to rest and worship, my friend, you are being disobedient. You are being rebellious to God. And here I'm not suggesting the day. The book of Colossians says some worship one day, some don't, but be persuaded by in what you do. So I'm not suggesting you stop worshiping on Saturday. Worship on Saturday if you want. Worship on Sunday if you want. But you must have a day of rest and worship. And I think that will be important. Why should I do that? I'm giving you the reason that because God has commanded. And so you need to restructure your life so that you have a day when you have set apart, when you have lengthened period. On a daily basis, you have your quiet time, but you are rushing. You are waking up and early and rushing to work. And can't you have a day of rest when you can have extended time of prayer, extended time of reading God's word, extended time of worship at a personal level, then group worship, where two or three are gathered together in his name. Remember, the way you work is not the way I work. But we need to have a day when all of us stop work so that we can have fellowship together. So why do we need rest? Because God has commanded it. Why do we need rest? Because it increases productivity. Number three, why do we need rest? Because the alternative is sickness. Sometimes you go to the doctor and he kind of checks you up, inspects your body, and tells you you are suffering from fatigue. You must rest, and he puts you on bed rest. You are not allowed to move at all. You not medicine you need. It is rest you need. Why should you rest? Because the alternative to end up, you know, to end up having to be forced by the doctor. You thought you could ignore the body, but God who created the body told you to rest and you refused. You are now sick, and the sickness is caused by lack of the body resting. There must be things that happen. I'm not a doctor, but there must be things that happen in the body when you are sleeping. There must be things that happen in your body when you are resting to kind of repair whatever is going wrong. And so when you do not allow your body that repair work, it finally breaks down. People call it burnout. When you work too long without resting, you get burnout. And this burnout sometimes can lead to depression and sickness, serious sickness, and sometimes it will lead to death. And this all burnout comes from working hard. And that's not just working harder than you should, not understanding the importance of breaks and rest, and especially working not just hard, but working under stress because of deadlines and because of expectations, either yours or somebody else's. My friend, you end up sick unless you take God's word. However bad things are, take time of rest. Why do people ignore times of rest? Remember, Exodus 34, verse 21 is saying, 6 days you are to labor. On the seventh day you shall rest. Even during plowing season and harvest, you must rest. In other words, the Bible already tells us why people don't rest. It's because it's labor time. Don't you know it's harvest time? If I don't harvest, the birds are eating it away. Oh, if I don't harvest, it's plowing time. The rains will come before I finish. But of course, those who are not farmers also have examples. It's annual audit time. It is all kinds of excuses. And the Bible is saying, even when it is annual audit, annual reporting time, if you don't rest, you end up with the issue, with the problems I have been talking about. It is important to understand you don't have a good excuse. However, the Bible is clear. Don't take 6 days of rest and 1 day of work. No, we were created to work. Your body will get sick again, atrophy of some sort, if it is kept idle too long. So it is not 6 days of rest and 1 day of work. It's the other way around. It's 1 day of rest after 6 days of hard work. It is one lunch break for 8 hours of work. You must work. In fact, the Bible says clearly, if you don't work, don't eat. So working is important. So the Bible is not telling you not to work, but it's saying you must rest. It is not enough to have an excuse, I'm trying to achieve deadlines or I'm trying to do. No, organize your time so that you can meet your deadlines without ever failing to take breaks. So they were told, even if it's plowing time, because they were farmers, even if it is harvest time, you still must take times of rest. We learn from the Bible the importance of writing. That's why illiteracy is a bad, bad thing. Because God expected everybody to know how to read. That's why he requires things to be written. In Exodus 34, verse 27, he is telling Moses, write down these words, this covenant. And so I think it's important to seek as a nation to ensure there are no illiterate people. The worst thing that can happen is to have people that don't know how to read and write. And my hope and prayer is that every country in the world will seek ways of ensuring that their population are literate. That doesn't mean you're educated, but it means you can read and get information. If nothing else, read the Bible. That's one of the things that the missionaries who came to Africa did. Some of them did not bother with education very much. All they wanted is that the people will know how to read the Bible. And obviously, once you knew how to read the Bible, you read it for yourself. I'm told in East Africa, the revival that started from Rwanda, that is called the East African Revival, was not really by very educated people. But it is when the Africans themselves read the Bible, they discovered there are things that the missionary had not necessarily taught them. They had converted and become Christians, started wearing new clothes, but the spiritual power, the power of conviction and repentance was missing, and it was in the Bible, and they opted to follow the Bible. I'm telling you, once you know how to read for yourself, that's the beginning of revival. And it's important to understand reading should be given priority. The Bible is saying in Exodus 34, verse 27, then the Lord said to Moses, write down these words, for in accordance with these words, I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. Writing is our discussion this week. God expected things to be written. What we agree must be written. I still remember, and I've been involved in helping resolve conflicts between many people, but I still remember two friends of mine who had entered into a partnership to do a business. And because they are Christians, these are many years ago. They are Christians, they liked each other, agreed with each other. One was a daktari, but he was interested in a side hustle to do a business. The other one was a businessman. So they agreed to start a factory. And because the doctor is one with a bigger salary, he's the one who gave most of the money. In fact, I later discovered almost all the money, because the ideas were to be implemented by the wife of the doctor and and the businessman. They got together, they started work. He took a loan actually, and was repaying the loan. But after a long while, he discovered he was paying the loan through his salary. The business was not paying. So he asked them, what is happening? And the man seemed to imply that it's not making money. Now the wife said, no, we are selling. But they were not, they were in trouble. So since they are Christian, they opted to look for a Christian to help them reconcile. And so I was called. I will never forget how I asked them, what did you agree? One says one thing, the other one another thing. The other says this is what we agree, the other one says that. These are educated people, but they had just verbally agreed. Say, we agreed that we will share half. After all, the ideas are mine, but you never gave any money. No, 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 we were to share half. And I discovered the danger, even if you are two Christians, of not writing down what it is you have agreed, both what your input will be and how you will share the output. So if you want peace with people, don't just verbalize what you agree. After you have discussed it, negotiated, what's agreed must be written down. And according to the Old Testament rules, sealed. You go with a copy, and I go with a copy. Maybe there can be a third copy with the neutral party. That's why you can't say you are married and you have not yet signed. Oh, we just agreed. Can we stay? That's not a marriage. You can see God emphasizes the importance of writing. And we have a problem with you if you are staying together and you have never wedded, you have never signed. My encouragement to you is you can see the emphasis God puts on writing. Even if you have been together for 10 years, please go to a pastor, get a marriage certificate and sign. Write it down. God is saying this is a covenant, it needs to be written. If it is important enough to go into writing. That's why you should not be involved in a marriage if you have not signed. You should not sleep with a man, or you should not sleep with a woman who have not signed on the dotted line. Then they comment, no, they said they love me. They said, did they write down? If you sleep with somebody who has not written it down, irrespective of how much he has said he loves you, you are committing adultery. You are actually immoral. All you need is, according to the scriptures, a wedding is a commitment. That's what we call a wedding. And commitment is not verbal. It is in writing. If God required his covenant to be put in writing, he set an example for us to also have things in writing. So you should not have a marriage without a marriage certificate. Even if it's not, if your government doesn't give certificates, the church can. There must be a written agreement. So God is teaching us the importance of writing things down, putting them down. He is saying, this thing has been agreed between me and you and Israel. Write it down. Let it be something that is written. So you're saying, do we write down? Because if we write down, it makes it much easier when you have disagreement to sort out. So writing things down is one way of ensuring friendship remains. You know, the trouble is, we feel, but we are friends. Why are we writing down? Because we want to guard our friendship. We want to retain this friendship for a longer period. If you are doing something in the church, whatever it is that the pastor and you have agreed to do, write it down. Why do we write down? Because memories are fickle. Somebody said, and I agree with them, the faintest pencil has a better memory than the best mind. I repeat, the faintest pencil has a better memory than the best brain. Within no time, you start saying, this is what I say. No, no, no. You know, I've been married for more than 40 years. So we are always talking to my wife, and she's remembering something that we did 40 years ago, and I'm remembering different. I can't remember it that way. So we are debating, did it happen? How did it happen? Of course, if it's written, we just go and check what is written. That's why disagreement about content that can be verified, we don't even have to argue. We just check. But if it's something that was never recorded, Finally, we have to agree to disagree because I can't remember it that way, she can't remember it that way. That's why things must be written. If you want friendship, whatever it is you and me, my friend, have agreed, let us write it down. Not because we are bad people, but because we have short memories, unreliable memories, and we don't want to argue. We value our friendship. That's why we write it. Why do we write it down? Because we want to move on. That's why when we have a meeting, we always write minutes. I don't know, they were called minutes and not seconds. But that means you have recorded minute by minute what was discussed throughout the meeting. Why do we write it down? Just have a meeting, fail to record it, and you have condemned yourself the next meeting to just argue. And remember things. Sometimes you think you have come up with a new idea, but it was the same old idea, but you have forgotten. My friend, why do you think should things be put in writing? It allows progress rather than repetition. Not write what you said in this meeting condemns you to repeat, not just to argue, which is bad for the meeting, but to also repeat what you said in the previous meeting, rather than read the minutes, discuss whether they are correct, then move on. What is matters arising? Finding out how we can progress beyond where the matters that were not closed are. So, recording things help make progress. That's why, for example, we call civilization that don't write, we call them primitive, because you make a discovery or something, and because you never recorded exactly how you did it, the next generation is unable to progress from there because you did not leave a plan and design. My friend, nations that know how to record inventions keep improving the inventions from stage to stage. That's why there's a department for keeping copyright recorded. And after a number of years, those copyrights are now free for all. I think it's important, if you really want to make progress, to keep records, and then we can make progress. The word of God is saying in Exodus 34:27, then the Lord said to Moses, write down. In other words, it was a command. It's not a request. Try to write down. I would recommend you write down. No, 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 it's not a recommendation. It's a requirement of Moses. Write these words. For in accordance with these words, I have made a covenant with you and with Israel. Don't start saying God said, God. No, 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 no. He wants it written down. So you cannot say, I forgot what God told me. Or that's not what God said. Once it's written, helps. And that's why Christianity is such a good way of life. Why? We don't rely on our pastors. The pastor may wake up from the wrong side of the bed and start saying things. The congregation has a right to disagree with him. In fact, any good pastor teaches congregation to disagree with him. He argues like Paul, follow me only as I follow Christ. Now put in better words today, follow me only if what I'm saying is in the scriptures. I am not allowed to become original beyond what is written. Don't go beyond what is written. So the Bible tells us. So you can see cults always thrive when it is Bible minus, some things the Bible are no longer being read, or Bible plus, it is the Bible plus things that the prophet of God is adding, or the Bible is there, but it is the prophet to read. We others just rely on what the preacher is saying. If we stop reading the Bible on ourselves, having what we call quiet time, we'll soon be involved in a cult. The reason they were written down is so that even the leader, when he gets lost, the followers can tell him, you are getting lost, and stop following him. So, in Exodus 34:27, the word of God wants to emphasize for us that the Lord said, instructing Moses, write down these words. They are the basis of our relationship. And we have seen this week that any relationship that is important must be recorded. Any meeting that's worth must be recorded. That means even a family meeting, if it is making long-term decisions, please record. Any important meeting must be recorded. That means even if it's a church meeting, a committee meeting, a department meeting, you need to record. That's what God is saying, that this will be, write it down. Why? To be the basis of a relationship, to a covenant. The same thing. If you are starting an organization, we are initiating a new organization. The other day I read a biography of all founders, people who started various things all over in Christendom. And every one of them, you read, we met and we wrote down a constitution, we wrote down bylaws. If anything is important, you are starting something critical, it must be recorded. Why? Because then you are able not to argue, you maintain friendship. Number two, you are able to make progress from what you then. Number three, you are able to control yourself, not to move out of the original vision, unless you deliberately review it and write a new constitution. That's why it is important to write down. That's why we have seen this week, marriage is so important. It should never be started verbally. You must, before coming to stay together, sign on the dotted line.